Hello, my Wilberforce family and friends. This is James B. Stafford III, your host, and now past president of the Wilberforce University Alumni Association. As you might know by now, effective March the 23rd, I completed my term as your national president, and I had a great time. I really enjoyed bringing to you these podcasts, as well as leading you through the last 4 years of trying to keep hope alive on the campus of Wilberforce University. My term has now ended March 23rd, as I mentioned, when I swore in your new president, Ms. Dauphine Woods, better known as Dale. Dale Woods is now the new association president, national president of Wilberforce University Alumni Association. So follow me. Let us all get behind her and help her continue carrying out the mission of the great Wilberforce Alumni Association. She's got a job ahead of her, a tough job, and she needs all the support that we can garner for her in supporting her as she drives this wonderful association forward. Now, as I said, this may also be the last time you'll see me as the host of the Wilberforce Alums podcast. And, as we move in that direction, there's a couple things that I'd like to leave with you as this podcast moves forward, and as I introduce to you the new interview that I have with a young alum of Wilberforce University. Let me say this. First of all, the 350 New Dorm campaign is still alive and well on the campus of Wilberforce University. As you know, the Alumni Association took on the responsibility of trying to raise funds in the form of donations toward this new dorm campaign. You've heard it many times, and you're going to hear it again from me. We need to increase enrollment at the university. As you know, it increased in the fall of last year, and we're planning an additional increase in the fall of this year, 2024. In order to cover this increased enrollment of new students coming in, we got to have dorms for them in which to live. That's the purpose of this 350 New Dorm campaign. It's the second dorm that has been scheduled to be built on the campus of Wilberforce University. Dorm number 1 is now in this construction stage, and hopefully will be done by that time. But we got to get more dorms on the campus in order to accommodate the growth that we're expecting and after to increase this student population on the university's campus. So give to it. If you give $350, your name will go on a plaque that will reside in this new dorm. If you're an organization that wants to give as a total group or organization, you have to contribute at least $3,500 in order for the name of your organization to go on this plaque. But individually, it only takes $350 to go have your name placed on this plaque. Now, having said that, that doesn't mean that we're not taking any other donations that may be less than that. Of course we are. Give whatever you can, as soon as you can. This 350 New Dorm campaign will end at the end of the university's fiscal year, which is June 30th, 2024. So your contribution has to be made and accounted for before that date in order for you to go into the souvenir booklet for one, but also in order to be considered in part of the societies for the 23-24 fiscal year of the university. That's point number 1. Point number 2 is this. The Wilberforce University Alumni Association's conference, 2024 conference, is going to be in Savannah, Georgia, July 25th through the 28th. Savannah, Georgia. If you haven't been there, you need to go. It's a great place to have fun, to eat well, and to vacation. Have a beach, a lot of things going on there. It's going to be a great time for all of us alums to get together and also to have a good time. However, what you need to do is register now. Early bird registration ends at the end of this month, April 30th. Early bird registration right now is $375 plus fees and taxes. Of course, you can always send in a check to the Wilberforce University Alumni Association Post Office Box, which is 370, P.O. Box 370, Wilberforce, Ohio, 45384. That's not the new address. That has always been the address for Wilberforce University Alumni Association. If you don't want to pay those additional fees or extra fees and taxes, send your check to Wilberforce University Alumni Association, P.O. Box 370, Wilberforce, Ohio, 45384. In addition, that cost goes up considerably if you miss this early bird registration. You will not receive the link to book your hotel until you first have confirmed your registration. Whether it's early bird registration or late registration, the link to the hotel rooms will not be distributed until after you've registered for this year's conference. July 25 through the 28th, Savannah, Georgia. Be there or be square. Guys, that's it for me. It's been great being your host on the Wilberforce Alums podcast. It's been great and even better being your national president of the Alumni Association. Now we need to get behind the new president, Dale Woods, and help her move this association and to keep hope alive on the campus of our alma mater, Wilberforce University Alumni Association. God bless you, and I'll see you in Savannah. Wilberforce Alums, the fourth season that we're working with today, and today we got a real gem for you to meet. Young brother who came out of Wilberforce right around 2012, who's doing wonderful and great things in his community. As y'all know, that's what we're all about at Wilberforce Alums podcast, is to talk to graduates of Wilberforce University and share with you all that they do in their communities, the wonderful things they do, and that Wilberforce turns out some great individuals. So remember, give us a thumbs up and subscribe and share this podcast with all your friends and family. So let me introduce to you right now, brother from the city of brotherly love, Abu Edwards. Brother Edwards, how you doing? Thanks for joining us this evening.
Man, I'm blessed, President Stafford. Thanks for inviting me.
Great, man. Look, I know I guess now I met you by phone, I think, at least a couple of years ago. Wasn't it what, 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, about 2 or 3 years ago, yeah.
Man, time flies, man. I was looking at that and I said, when was the last time I talked to Abu? And I said, man, it was about 2 or 3 years ago. I said, wow. It had to be about 4 years ago, man, that we chatted, and here you are now doing great things in your community and in Philadelphia, and that's wonderful. And you're one of those great products that came out of the mighty Wilberforce University, the first private institution in the United States, HBCU in the country, man. And I just want to say thank you for all the things you do. But let's talk about you. Kind of share with me, first of all, to kick this off, what's your background been like? Where did you grow up in Philly? And then how did you end up going to Wilberforce University? How did that become your choice? Go on, talk to us.
So, I tell folks all the time, I grew up in Philadelphia with a single mom, and we lived under what you would call the poverty line. So, we live from projects to projects, but my mom did, she did the best she possibly can.
Right.
And it just wasn't my family who took an initiative to get me to where I'm at. It was my community. It was Miss Jefferson, the older woman who sat on the corner, making sure that the kids, yelling at the kids, making sure they don't get hit by the cars, and Miss Jefferson and Miss Reed and someone we call Aunt Phyllis. These women in the community really, pulled me to the side, gave me a glass of lemonade, gave me a dollar bill or two, or back in the day, we call food stamps. Um,
Uh-huh.
and really just having those conversations, man. When I was a kid, I wasn't the average kid. I had a few issues. I had a few behavioral problems, and that had caused, some setback in my life. And I think that, one, it was probably a reason that my father wasn't in my life, and just kind of just growing up, just angry because, I lived in a community where, folks used to come past and say, "You look just like your dad." I'm like, well, when you see him, tell him here.
All right.
Um,
All right.
so, but, it took one teacher when I was a kid to say, okay, instead of putting this kid in timeout, instead of putting this kid back in the day at recess when you used to get in trouble, you had to go sit at the wall. Instead of doing that, let's make this kid a line leader. Let's see if we give this kid some responsibility, how he would turn out. And when they made me a line leader, man, I had the best lines in the school.
Okay.
No one played in my line. And
Wow.
from there, that went from me being a safety in middle school. From there, that went from me being the president of my high school and vice president of citywide student government. And from there, that took me to Wilberforce. But before I got to Wilberforce, man, like no one in my family went to college. So it was literally, graduating from high school and going to get a city job. My mother was a sanitation worker. But I just knew that from those experiences that I was exposed to, that I wanted to do something different. I didn't want to just go to get a job at the city. I just didn't want to go to Lincoln University and be close at home. I didn't want to go to Cheney University and be close at home. I didn't know what I want to do. But I had a teacher, I had a principal, and I had I call her the first Black woman mayor, older woman by the name of Miss White, who knew one of the former vice presidents who was Marshall Mitchell during that time. And they called Marshall and said, "Hey, we have a student who has really good leadership skills, may have some academic, problems, but we think that he will benefit from Wilberforce and from this education." And I'm not sure, bro, how everything worked out, but I got a call and said, "You're going to Wilberforce." And my principal, my vice principal, and their husbands put me in a car, took me everywhere to get everything I needed for school, dropped me off at my mom's house, and the next day I was on the road to Wilberforce. And I didn't do any research on Wilberforce.
Okay,
I
because
took,
I was gonna ask you, man, how much did you know about Wilberforce before you
yeah, I
jumped in
didn't.
that car, man?
Right. When I thought about Wilberforce, I thought I was going to this white school. I'm like, I'm about to be the black guy on campus. I just thought Wilberforce was this white school. Like I didn't make the connection with HBCU. Like I said, I didn't know anything about Greek life. Like I didn't know anything. All I know is that I was going to college somewhere in Ohio, and this was something different. And It was something different. So I went. When my parents pulled up, I was like, where am I at? And and my mom was like, I think I would go home. And literally, my parents pulled up, dropped me off, and got back on the road and left.
Really?
And I had to literally get accustomed. Seriously, I had to literally get accustomed to Wilberforce in this new area on my own. And um it is, and that's how it started.
So what when you got to Wilberforce, that first impression, everybody talks about the first impression when they come to Wilberforce. So when you got there, what was your first impression?
Hell no. Like
Oh no, man.
I was I said, this is not what I expected. This was not the vision that I had. It was just I was literally caught off guard because you're coming up that hill, right? So you're saying, okay, I'm about to see this crazy campus. I'm about to see this all this campus life. I'm about to see like diversity. I'm about to see all these white folks. But when I got there, I'm just like, wow, it was it was different, man. It's like, it was like I was going, I'm be honest, it's like I was going away to a boarding school, and I thought my parents had set this up. But I think, after a few days, and when you go to school in Ohio, I mean, when you go to school outside the state, I think the first connection you get is to people who are from Philly. People who are from where you are, it's the East Coast. And I think, that, connecting with those folks kind of like helped me like transition, but also like meeting new friends have kind of helped me like really like navigate, my first week.
So what high school did you come out of in Philly?
I went to a Parkway Gamma
So
High School.
was anybody at Wilberforce from your high school or even your neighborhood, let's say?
No. So
Okay.
no, I didn't know anyone. Actually, I take that back. So my godmother and my godfather, Delta and Omega, and they invited me to an Omega scholarship
Okay.
fund. And one of the kids who were getting the scholarship fund, when they read his where he was going, it was Wilberforce, and his name was William Ramsey. He's from Philly, and he's in the choir. So I got a chance to meet William Ramsey before we headed to well, actually no, I think I might have been at Wilberforce for a year
Okay.
because I think
Okay.
he's right behind me.
So when you got there, how long did it take you to really, settle in and get your feet on the ground and start to assimilate with where you were and so on and so forth?
I mean, I would say I would say I followed the wind. I think, it took me about a few weeks because, I became an RA while I was
Oh,
at
okay.
even though I got fired. For cooking cheesesteaks in my dorm room for some females. Trying to give them the Philly cheesesteak experience.
Oh, look out now.
And Dean Carter knocks on the door. But that's another story.
Okay.
Um, but then I had an opportunity as a freshman, man, to really connect with really connect with the admissions office. So I worked for the admissions office. I interned for the admissions office. I interned for payroll, and I uh, I traveled with the choir. And the reason why I did those three things because when I was a freshman, I wanted more people from Philly to join. So what I did is I joined the admissions office, and and the admissions office and the choir are connected. So mostly like when the choir travels, it's an admission portion to it.
Right.
So freshman, I was able to navigate my way and travel with the choir to some locations, especially when they went to Philly, because I was
Uh,
just Philly as a freshman, right? I was the
yeah.
vice president of every high school in Philadelphia, so I knew all the president. I mean, I knew all the principals.
Okay.
So when Phil Wilberforce was going to Philly, we were hitting like 4 or 5 high schools. You
Mm.
get what I'm saying? So when I traveled as a freshman, I'll be honest, I didn't know how impactful it was until literally I'm 35 years old, where literally we recruited more than 80% of folks from Philadelphia when I was a freshman. Like we literally pulled students, like I can count, and Philadelphia, I mean, some folks from Philadelphia can count how Abu came to my high school and I filled out an application and I got into Wilberforce.
Is that
Um,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
it started to pile up because we were getting to the schools. And
Okay.
then when I came home for summer break, I would go to the schools. You get what I'm saying? And I would just have the admission stuff with me. And it was very, I would say, my freshman year and my sophomore year, man, Wilberforce University, we had a presence, a real presence in Philadelphia, man. Like I think we touched like 30 something schools, man.
Well,
Like we
we need to get that impression back, because we could use those students right now. Even though, last year, fall 2023, we experienced a 27% increase in new students coming to the university. So that's one of the main reasons why now we're out here, at least through the Alumni Association, really trying to find uh, people to donate and fund through the Alumni Association the new dorm, because they're planning to have at least two new dorms by actually three by the fall of 2024. So yeah, man, there's really a expectation to really increase that enrollment, and then started in the fall of 2023. So yeah, we're doing that.
But what also too, man, I think, working with the admissions office and being a tour guide, that was another way for students to connect. And I think, I've like possibly 30 or 40 additional students, who I've toured, attended Wilberforce. Like
Mm,
folks who came from California, folks who came from far places and they toured the university first before they made that decision.
hmm.
I was a part of that, because that's when, it was just like the pride, right? And I think as, we started to, as we started getting into our senior year, you can kind of just tell like some of that excitement and momentum, like especially, changing presidents, kind of like, settled in, right? Where we're fighting for like toilet tissue, right? In our dorm rooms. And I think, uh I had the opportunity and President, we all know President Hardaway, she's from Philly.
Hmm.
I had an opportunity one day, I was walking to Speedway and it was like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And I just saw, I'm walking through the campus and I saw the president's lights on, right? At her office. So I walk in there and, she's behind her desk doing her work. And, the campus is kind of like, unsettled a little bit. Um, and I walked in there, man, and I sat down with her and I said, I don't know why I'm here, but something told me that I just need to pray for you. And I prayed for her,
Hmm.
and I said, I'm going to try to do whatever I can do, to help out. And from there, I left and we launched this thing called Woo Wednesdays.
Mm.
I was where I wanted to, increase the momentum and the excitement back to Wilberforce. So Woo Wednesdays gave me the avenue to use it as a driving force for like intergovernmental, engagement, like where, we had all the vice presidents at our events. We had, we one Wednesday we did it with the Deltas, the other Wednesday we did it with this group, the other Wednesday we did it with that. And each Wednesday would be something totally different. And people were looking forward to that, man. Like I look back and I'm like, yo, Woo Wednesdays was jumping.
Is that right?
Like the excitement, like Central State was coming over, and like we were, but it was just, I'm just as an adult, I'm just thinking back, like, wow,
So did y'all
like
what y'all have of that was the draw? I mean, just the camaraderie or
it was the camaraderie. It
uh-huh,
was, kind of like the support from the administration.
uh-huh.
It was, like I said, working with the cafeteria. Like it's just like, because at one point it was like, hey, it was hard to use the grill. It was hard to like get things done, right? And I think that with the buy-in from everybody, those process and procedures to a degree kind of was put to the side,
Gotcha,
right?
gotcha.
And it was about engagement, people having fun, people wanting to be here, and people looking forward, to something each week. And I had a little budget.
Oh, wow. Well, that's interesting. Yeah. So tell me, so I think you said you're in political science, right? Was that your major?
Little science, yep.
So did you know from the onset that you basically you kind of in politics? I did see something that you ran for a political office, I think sometime last year or year before. I kind of talked. Well, before I get you to talk about that, uh, what is the thing that you think impacted you the most at Wilberforce?
Um, be the change you want to see.
Ah,
Our motto, be the change you want to see. It, you know, we know that we didn't have things like a Harvard. We didn't have things like a Central. We didn't have things like an Ohio, right? But we had vision. You get what I'm saying? Our grounds were blessed. Do you get what I'm saying? There was a
Hmm.
spirit on campus. Do you get what I'm saying? That you
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to get on any other campus because
Yes.
that's holy ground when you walk on Wilberforce University's campus.
Okay.
You get what I'm
Okay.
saying? So
Yeah.
even when you're out there drinking, whatever, you feel convicted.
Yeah.
Like it's a conviction. You get what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
something that you really can't connect to unless you understand. You know what I mean? Like Wilberforce is like you would have to go to Wilberforce to understand Wilberforce.
I
Like
got you.
from
Yeah, I
the
know that. I
outside,
know that
you
story.
can't
Yeah.
understand Wilberforce. You know, you would look at it and say, okay, I'm good. You would have to understand the history, the, like I said, the spirit, like, you would have to understand all that. And I think, regardless of who you are, I think that, if you are connected to the higher power, man, that is a school for people who love Christ. I don't care how hood you come from. I don't care, what you're doing, yeah, your spare time, but there's something that connects you to Wilberforce that is, that is spiritual, you know.
Mm.
Uh, so yeah.
And that stays there. So now you graduate from the force, right? And the
Mhm.
force will always be with you. What
Yeah.
what happens next? Where do you go from there?
So when I graduated, man, from Wilberforce, I tried to figure out what I wanted to do, man. I had opportunities to go to different places across the country, but I wanted something just told me to go back home, man. I went back home. I joined the Obama campaign, became a paid staffer, an organizer, organized people, found out that I liked organizing people. Then I started just running a bunch of like judicial campaigns, like getting a lot of judges elected across the city. And then I created my own political action committee because I was tired of urban Black millennials like me who were kind of being overlooked. Gentrification is happening. People, are falling through the cracks, and we're seeing this new city evolve, and we're not at the table. So I created my own organization to engage and encourage young Black millennials like myself to really get involved in the political process, to become civically engaged. And that was in 2015. And for 4 years strong, man, every person who ran from Supreme Court justice all the way down to city council came before our group. And they came before young Black men that I coordinated with all across the city. They came in front of us. So when a person was running for judge or if a judge was running for retention, they came in our courtroom. You get what I'm saying? And we asked the tough questions. You get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because we our goal is to educate and let folks know that, you know, the power that you have is your vote. And if you don't understand that power, man, then people are going to look at us and step on top of us and create any policies necessary to keep us back. And we have the demographic, we have the population, we have the numbers. And if a fraction of us decide to turn out in any major city, we can change the trajectory on what Black excellence look like across our country.
Say that again, man, because people need to hear that. What is the power we have? Huh?
To vote,
That's
you know,
right. That's
to
right.
vote. We have to vote.
Yes, that's
You
right.
can't talk about criminal justice reform. You can't talk about anything else. Everything leads to voting. And I tell people all the time, I care about every issue. That's why I care about voting. Because I care about every issue that impacts us. Because it all ties back into voting, voting, putting people in positions to make sure that they put our priorities forward, making sure that Black men are reading, Black boys are reading by fourth grade, making sure that Black boys are not left behind in math, reading, and science. Where's the money? Making sure that our HBCUs are funded. You get what I'm saying? By our elected officials, making sure that young Black men and black women have pathways to economic opportunities. You get what I'm saying? If it's not high school, I mean, if it's not college, if it's going into a union job, if it's starting their own business, this is our time as young Black millennials who are college educated, who understands the importance, man. We are, we are the generation, and it's
Yeah,
our time, and we have to make sure that these issues don't transcend to the next generation. We
right,
have, we have to be, even if we have to be the sacrificial lambs, man. Like that's what I've learned. Like we have to.
right. Wilberforce alums. Hey, we're sitting here today and on the Wilberforce Alums podcast, talking with Abu Edwards, a young man who came out of Wilberforce University in 2012, who was really making an impact on his community in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Abu Edwards. So now, Abu, let's get back to this political environment that you're in and that you're kicking off there, man. Because yeah, it seems to me, you know, your resume talks. I read through that and I said, man, this guy was into politics, man, from top to bottom. And I said, wow, did he know he was going to go that route when he was at Wilberforce, or what was it? So channel that conversation with me, when as to where you come into the political arena and how it was leading you. Go ahead.
Yeah, man, I think, being the first in my family to go to college, going to the first Black private institution of higher education, and working for the first Black woman mayor of the city of Philadelphia, right? Um, I knew that I just wanted to serve when I left Wilberforce. And I think that, I and if I can be honest with you, I felt like I was delayed a little bit because of the experiences that I have. Because it wasn't easy, right? I think, coming out of Wilberforce, and not being connected to the political scene. Like I said, my mother was a sanitation worker. I didn't come from a family of congressmen or mayors or people who, who cared about politics. Like my folks were folks who volunteered at the polls. You get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I'm with you. Go ahead.
You know, so building all of this, man, I had to build it on my own. And, it made my journey longer because,
Right.
I had people was like, come on this staff for, my first government job, I got fired because, I knew so many people. You know what I mean? Like there's three areas that I tell people all the time that, Wilberforce has prepared me for, that, it's so when someone look at me, I don't even know what bucket they put me in because my experience is so diverse. You get what I'm saying? Because when we talk about the work experience, that's one thing, but what about after 5 o'clock? It's another volunteer work experience that's just as extensive that it is my career because I don't play sports. Like I'm not into sports, and my sport is civic engagement. My sport is the NAACP. My sport is being a committee person in my neighborhood. My sport is being the president of the Friends of Greater Alney Library, right? That is
Yeah.
my
Okay.
sport. So, when someone look at me, I want them to think of three things, an advocate, because I worked in advocacy. I worked in that advocacy world. I have a very extensive community background in community. You get what I'm saying? Like I care about community and policy, man. Those are the three areas that, and actually four areas in community service.
Mm.
My life has been dedicated to community service. And the reason why my life has been dedicated to community service, it goes back to my earlier careers. The reason why I'm able to stay here today, because like I said, I wasn't the smartest kid in the classroom, but when a teacher made me the line leader, it made me want to come to school. It made me
Mm.
want to pay attention. And that's the same thing it does in my life. When I
Okay.
volunteer for the NAACP, what I mean? It makes me want to continue to do work. If you get what I'm saying?
I,
It is connected to my life. So when people say, Boo, can you chill? I can't because everything is connected.
I got
It's
you.
how I operate since I was a kid. And I have to have a community service connection. That's just how because if not, what they say, what idle time is the devil's time, or idle mind is the devil's playground.
Right.
And I just have to be, I know the environment that I grew up in, and that's where I just, I stay so busy.
So talk to us about how you got to, talk about your experience when you were running for office, and then
Okay.
how that led to where you are now, the position that you're currently in, how that came about, and what is that position all about? Talk to us about that.
Well, let's realize this is my second time running for office, man.
Yeah.
In 2018, I ran for state representative
Okay.
with no money. And I kind of ran out of anger because the area that I lived in, the current state rep, was not putting any resources in economic development, but we were just a small portion and a small portion and diverse section. Like, I grew up black. I grew up in the hood, but when we moved, we lived in Alany where my neighbors were Asian. You get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
Jamaica, like it was
Uh-huh.
a diverse community,
Okay.
where I started to grow up. We were all poor, but it was a diverse,
I'm with you. Yeah. Okay.
but I ran for state rep in 2018 and lost. And then in 2023, wow, yeah, not too long ago, 2023, I ran for city council. There were three seats open in city of Philadelphia, which is like kind of historic. And there were 28 people running.
Ooh, wow.
It was a money game. Do you
Yeah.
hear?
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, man, a lot of people like at Bull, it doesn't matter. You're going to pull this through because, bro, like you put judges on municipal, court of common pleas, Commonwealth Court, Superior Court, and Supreme Court. You put people on city council, Harrisburg, and the mayor's office. Folks owe you. You good. Man, when I got out there, people started opening up their wallets and their pocketbooks. People say, Abu, who? Who? The young guy? Oh, the young man who has his life ahead of him, who can do it next time, that young man, not, ignoring the 10 years that I put in from the ground. You get what I'm saying? Like graduating and just hitting it and not even taking it back where, it wasn't just hitting the ground because I looked at it as, John, like I've been doing it for 20 years because I started in high school. When I'm convening meetings with every president, every high school, and we're talking about issues, you know, and then I go back to being a safety and like, you know what I'm saying? So my life has been dedicated to it. So while you're saying that I have a 10-year, track record, I'm looking like I got a 25-year track record
Uh-huh.
because that's what I've always been doing and I've been that leader. So if you talk to someone who know me when I was a line leader and you talk to someone who knows me, you talk to someone in every portion of my life, they would say the same thing. No, like it's not, it's nothing is different. My middle school and elementary school friends say the same thing as my high school friends and my college friends, and they don't know each other.
Okay. All right.
But
Okay.
so didn't wasn't successful. Did pretty well though, but wasn't successful. And running winning city council, but also too, I was working. I had opportunity, prior to running for city council, where majority of the folks had to leave their jobs. The leadership conference on human rights and civil rights, where I was employed. I worked in one of their coalitions called All Voting is Local, where I oversaw our Jive program across the state. And Jive stands for Justice Impact Voter Engagement, where I worked with prison officials, elected officials, board of election officials to make sure we are developing policies across our state prisons to make sure that people who are currently incarcerated but eligible to vote have the opportunity and is not deprived of the opportunity to vote based on the structures of the prison. And what I've learned is the fact that every prison across the 66 counties in Pennsylvania have their own rules and regulations around this particular issue.
Okay.
So what we did, spent 3 years, and where I'm leaving is that we built coalitions across the state, and we are introduced this bill, HB 1756, that calls on a uniform system for all the prisons and across the counties. And it calls for a mandated reporter in every prison to make sure that that person the process and make sure that people who are eligible to vote in those prisons held can vote. So today I just finally had my my farewell, virtual farewell today with them. Friday is my last day. And 23 people, that I never knew that I inspired or experienced, said positive things, man. And, being on this call and the fact that, like, it was no remorse. People were happy, people were tearing up, white folks, Asian folks. And it's like, Abu, I remember, you may not know, but you told me to keep up the good work on this particular issue, or you told me this and that, and you didn't even know what you said, and that inspired me. Folks I never knew. You get what I'm saying? And it
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
this was a powerful send-off. You get what I'm saying? Because it shows that, the work that I've been doing didn't go unnoticed. Now we'll see if that has any impact on my last paycheck. But but it was good. And then, I'm grateful for the opportunity. The mayor, the first Black woman mayor of Philadelphia, who currently was my former council person. She appointed me to serve as the new executive director for the mayor's office of Black male engagement. And I take that as an honor because it's something that, like a safety badge. I felt like I've been doing my whole entire life. Even like with this program, Millennials in Action, that I founded. We took that program, brother, and we was turning former drug dealers into organizers.
Huh?
I went on the corner and did the math and say how much you make. And I told them that, listen, all they got to do is come to a day to make phone calls and come knock on a few doors with me. I gave them a vocabulary list on how to, navigate this, what this means. And now some of these brothers are running programs all across the state and the country because of that opportunity. And everywhere I travel, man, even when went to California and I had to run a program in Long Beach, California, I had two brothers walk up to me. Uh, they were in a gang and they had SAG and all. They said, man, we looking for an opportunity. They walked in my office when I was in Long Beach and, tatted up. And I said, okay. I said, listen, if you go home and you come in this, if you, go dress up, whatever. If you got anything, become presentable, I'll give you opportunity. He left. I didn't even think he was gonna come back. They came back. We interviewed them, man. I gave them opportunity. Man, now they're leading programs in Long Beach, California. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And these brothers cried when I left, man. And I ain't gonna hold you. I was gonna stay. Because listen, bro, like these brothers cried because they said nobody never came in their community, man, and gave them a shot. And they don't meet brothers like me where they from. And man, and these brothers is from Compton. Do you hear what I'm saying? Like these brothers from Compton. And bro, I'm just learning, how God has worked. And it's like I don't pay attention to none of this until I just have to take some time to sit back and say, what has God been doing? And this opportunity, man, has literally had me, has pushed me to reflect on my losses and where God has taken me from, and like, where what God has planned for my life, man, because this is not by mistake. This is on purpose. I'm here for the right time at this moment on purpose. And I am understanding that.
Yeah, well, this obviously the mayor has a lot of faith in you and your ability, Abu, to appoint you to this position you currently have, because that is really important now to get more engaged black males, man, into the process, the political process, especially, and that's as it is a large responsibility, but it's important, and it's going to keep you pretty busy, man, to continue that engagement. So yeah, man, more power to you, and the blessings be bestowed upon you, man, as you continue this kind of work, because we need more, black male role models, in this world, regardless as to what direction they may be going in, and well, going in a positive direction, that they're going in. So that's important. So do you think now, I mean, you start this new position on when, Monday a week, or okay? So the ultimately though, what is your vision, not as it relates to this job particularly, but you think you're going to be out there again and running for office somewhere sometime in the future, or those uh, um, uh, political opportunities going to be at bay for a little while to get through this point of your career. What's the story there?
I mean, it's interesting, man. I think right now Philadelphia is going through a dynamic change. We're going through a shift, right? A lot of the former elected officials who've been around for 30 or 40 years, they're retiring. You get what I'm saying? Some are getting sick. You know what I mean? Some are, dying out. You get what I'm saying? So you
Yeah.
see a wave, right? We went from, a council president in Philadelphia for about 25 years, and now we have a young council president. We have more young black men on city council. We have
Okay.
a younger city council. You get what I'm saying? We
Yeah.
have young state reps because the state reps are retiring. So we're sending younger people to Harrisburg. We just don't have the first black woman mayor of Philadelphia. We have the first black woman speaker of the House who's
Okay.
from Philadelphia. We
Okay.
have the first woman of color in Allegheny County who's the county executive.
Okay.
So, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is completely changing because what balances the power of the state of Pennsylvania is Philadelphia and Allegheny County.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are, what I mean? That is the balance and the fact that we have literally shifted power to women. You get what I'm saying? In both of these spots, women of color. I think, so the answer is yes, but also right now I'm in my season to follow, man.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I know
And
God has called me to lead, right?
yeah.
And that's in many different, phases. And at the end of the day, it may not be the timing, but I think that God has shown me that if I give you this, I just need you to be patient.
Right.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
and do
Like,
it.
if I
That's
give
right.
you this, like, you know what I mean? I got you.
Yeah.
This is just something small. And that's how I'm learning. I'm okay, you didn't forget about me. You get
Gotcha.
and that's just how, like, I'm feeling right now. Like, I'm giving you something to let you know I didn't forget about you and I have something else for you.
Well, there, there,
Wow.
there, there goes those talents, man. You got to utilize those talents. And so, more power to you in that regard. Look, man, Abu, we're going on about, well, we're at 25 minutes or so. So, and man, hey, man, it's been great talking to you, man, to see you again and to see the great things you're doing in the city of Philadelphia. Uh, Jim's cheesesteak hoagie is my place in Philly.
Really? Wow. I mean, I like Delasine. I mean, honestly, people say these cheesesteaks, man. I can go to a good poppy store or bodega in Philly and find one of the best cheesesteaks. Like, it's not a Geno's, it's not a Jimmy, it's not a
Jimmy's,
Pat.
yeah, yeah,
It's
Pat's, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I feel like, growing up on cheesesteaks, it's a culture thing. And I feel like, you can just go to the right corner store and have a
And
really
and
good
get it, yeah. So look, man, it's been great talking to you. We're about to end it up. So what I would like for you to do, just say, what is your parting word for those people who are now thinking about Wilberforce and may go? What would you like to leave for those folk who may be coming into Wilberforce for the first time as freshmen, and what would you like for them to pick up on as relates to what your experience was? Anything you want to leave with them?
Um, I would say this. If you really want to be the change you want to see in this world, Wilberforce would be the perfect school. You're not just a number or a code. You're Mr. This, you're Mrs. This, and if you want, that one-on-one support, there's no others, university in this country where you're going to, understands the importance of, education and, religion, but also, there's just something about Wilberforce, and all I can just say is like, just give it a chance, man. Like I said, you have to experience it to understand it. And Wilberforce is not for everybody. I've learned that. Wilberforce brings a particular student. It's so if I'm talking to that student, who understands that, hey, You know, I didn't come from anything, or no one in my family went to college, and you know, I don't know what to do, and I don't know if I'm college material, and I don't know if I'm going to have the support that is needed. You know, if you come to Wilberforce, you know, you will succeed, no matter what. So, if I, like I said, if I'm talking to you, you know, Wilberforce University, be the change you want to see. And I mean, and that's all I really can say, man. Like it's
Well, that's enough. Amen. All you can say to that is amen. You know, when you come to Wilberforce, you come in green, but you
you
leave
leave
gold.
gold,
Amen.
and, you know,
Yeah,
and that's it.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah. That's right. Look, alums of Wilberforce University, we've been talking with Abu Edwards, 2012 outstanding graduate of Wilberforce University. We just want to thank him for sharing his trail, his journey with us, and we all certainly want to wish him well as he moves forward. Abu, we're gonna close out here, man. Thanks again for taking some time out with us. At this point, God bless you and Godspeed.
Thank you.